Unless you've been living under a rock these last couple of weeks, you've probably heard of the new horror movie Obsession, written, directed, and edited by Curry Barker. Now, if there's one thing that as a filmmaker this movie tells me, it's that if you work hard enough and bet on yourself, you can become a director. So with that being said, today we're taking a deep dive into how a 26-year-old filmmaker from Mobile, Alabama can rise against the odds and create a movie with a $750,000 budget that has already made 150 times that in profits. It is an incredible story, and I'm gonna explain how that happened and also about how, as a filmmaker, the steps that you can take to create a horror movie like Obsession, or if not a horror movie, any movie in general. Something that I'm currently doing myself, and I'll explain how that kind of fits into this as well. First, a little background on Curry. He was born in Mobile, Alabama, and he was into theater as well as film all throughout high school. After high school, he moved to LA where he met his best friend, Cooper Cooper Tom. They met at film school, however, they both ended up dropping out of film school to pursue the YouTube channel That's a Bad Idea. Together, they continued to make comedy sketches on YouTube, and that's eventually where they got noticed and how the door opened for them to make Obsession. The only reason I know most of this is because we actually had the same theater teacher in high school. He just had him 6 years before I did. Curry got the funding for Obsession through an independent investor who wanted to fund a feature-length version of another one of Curry's films, but Curry ended up convincing him to reallocate those funds to help create Obsession, and that's where all of the budget came from. He created Obsession in 20 days of filming, might I add. That is crazy. I'm doing a feature film right now, and we are on day 13 out of 23 of filming, and these are packed days, so the fact that he had 20 days of filming is wild. The two things that really stuck out to me about Obsession, and really the reason why I want to watch it again even though I'm not really a big horror guy, is the way it was shot, the lighting, and the sound design. I guess that's 3 things. Now, lighting should help tell a story in your film. Every light should be there for a reason and help convey either a feeling or an emotion to your audience. One way that Obsession did this really well was by silhouetting Nikki in a ton of shots. The reason why I found this to be a really good idea is that there are so many shots where I want to see her face and see her emotion and see what she's feeling, but because she's silhouetted, you can't see that. And that adds a level of mystery and it adds a level of fear, and all of these different feelings are in your mind as you're watching the movie, building suspense and capturing the audience. And then on the camera movement side, it's not really what you expect out of a horror film. There's a lot of slow camera movement or static tripod camera shots, which again, you wouldn't expect to see in a horror movie, but because all of this was so intentional, it helps build fear and suspense, and it really works. Curry Barker did an interview for this film, and at one point he explained how he was really surprised how they let him do all of those creative things, because he was expecting somebody to come in and say, no, you have to do it this way, because in film, you want a really shaky camera for this intense scene. And he was like, no one's stopping me from having a static camera for this, but because nobody stopped him, it works. And really, that's one of the best parts about filmmaking. It's the fact that there are rules to follow as a filmmaker, but the best filmmakers know when and how to break those rules. And that really is one huge reason why Obsession works the way that it does. Finally, in my opinion, one of the most important parts of this movie, and why I think it did so well, is the sound design. Once again, the sound design is not what I was expecting to come out of this movie. However, it really does work. There are a lot of really soft, eerie songs, or even violin strings in there, and that's not what you would expect out of this horror movie. However, everything was done, again, so intentionally. That's why all of this works. He also used more risers in this film than I think I've ever heard in all of the horror movies I've seen put together, which I've really only seen 3 or 4 horror movies, but still, I don't think I've heard as many risers in one film before. Now, this video is not sponsored. I only have 2,000 subscribers, so I'm not quite there yet. If you want to subscribe, that would be awesome though. But Where I'm getting at is that I'm about to tell you the best way to replicate the sound design without hiring a composer for your feature film or short film. Essentially, you can get a subscription to a music licensing software and you can license songs to use them in your films. But what's really crazy is I'm using the one called Epidemic Sound. Now, I've used them for years and I'm, again, not sponsored, but why I'm choosing Epidemic Sound over Artlist or all of these other different ones is that Epidemic Sound has this thing called stems. And I know that other software has stems as well, but I haven't seen anyone do it as well as Epidemic Sound yet. Essentially, on every single one of their songs, you can either take a song that has lyrics and make it instrumental, but then even you can take individual instruments and either turn them down or turn them off. Meaning if you have a song and it's like a violin song, but there are also drums and there's this really intense melody and lyrics, you can take everything out aside from the violin, getting you a really soft violin song that normally you wouldn't be able to get because that is just a part of the overall song. If you want an example of this, and this isn't me just plugging one of my videos, but I did a short film called Reach Out, and essentially I used different stems to take a really, really busy, loud song, but only use one part of it that kind of led one scene into the next scene and helped everything flow together. Epidemic Sound does this so well. I've already built the playlist of the feature film that I'm making, and I know which songs are gonna go into which scenes. And I can strip down literally 90% of the songs to where it's just like an instrumental guitar. And that simple guitar is what's gonna make this movie feel like it's a genuine movie composed by somebody. Obviously, if you already have Artlist or a different subscription, you can do that too. However, from my experience, Epidemic Sound has worked the best. Look, here's the thing. Before Obsession, and even some of the films that led him to make Obsession, he was just some 20-year-old kid that liked film and wanted to do it for the rest of his life. But because of that, he did it. He made crappy films that nobody would probably watch to get better at it, and because he enjoyed doing it. And eventually, because he did it, even though they didn't do that well on YouTube, he did get better at it, and eventually, he actually got noticed and recognized for his work, which is what led him to ultimately get the funding to make Obsession. And that is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to become a director. Obviously, I'm not an official director yet, but maybe one day I will be, and then people will go back and watch this video. Ultimately, that's the key to making a movie like Obsession. Start with what you can do, learn from that, and then grow. An example of this, and why I've been dormant on YouTube for the last 2 months, is because I'm doing just that. I'm making a feature film I wrote, not because I'm trying to make money from it, but because I'm having the time of my life doing just that. But I'm also using this as a stepping stone for the future. I don't know what's gonna come out of this movie that I'm making. However, because I'm doing this movie now at 20 years old, I'm getting ready, and the next time I make a movie, it'll be even better than this one. And hopefully, I'll go more and more and more, and eventually, I will actually be a legitimate director. Obviously, I know that there are a million other factors that play into this, but all I know is I'm doing everything I can right now to make that happen. And obviously, ultimately, it's God's plan, and whatever He wants for me is what I'm going to do. However, I feel so at peace with where I am because number one, I'm doing what I'm enjoying doing, and also because I'm doing everything I can now to make that happen. I'm Jesse Starling. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, then please do actually genuinely subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video or when I release this feature film that I'm making. All right, peace.